our guest, and I'm going to start off with welcoming in Mike. He said he's going to do all the introductions for me.
All right, yeah, thanks. It's really exciting to be here this morning.
Well, we appreciate you coming.
Yeah, I've listened to the program for a number of years. I've lived here in Murray for 10 years now, working with Murray Christian Fellowship, and I've always wanted us to come on here and talk about our ministry. Murray Christian Fellowship is a campus ministry with Murray State University, and this morning joining me are two of our original founding students back in the 60s, and Lois Green's going to talk about that here in a bit, a little bit more of our origins. And Bill Call is here with us too, and he's going to talk a little bit about the legacy that MCF has here for the community of Murray, and also nationally and somewhat internationally as well. So I just wanted to say thanks for allowing us to come on and share. This is an exciting time for us right now. We are celebrating our 50th anniversary, and with that comes a lot of remembrance, a lot of forward thinking as well. We're really wanting to plan for the future, and it's an exciting time for us, I think. Some of our contact information, in case you're listening out there and just want to check us out on the internet, our website is mcfhouse.org, and then you can find us on Facebook at Murray Christian Fellowship, and then on Instagram at Murray Christian Fellowship. So those are a couple of places that you can kind of see what's going on in our week-to-week and our yearly happenings. So. One of the things that I wanted to mention this morning was basically our mission statement, why we even exist, why are we even here at Murray State serving the students. And so if you go on our website, you'll find this mission statement right here. Murray Christian Fellowship is a campus ministry committed to experiencing and sharing real transformed life in Christ with all people at Murray State University. And I just think that is wonderful. To me, that's my, one of my life passions is to live out my faith in such a way that it helps others to grow in their love for God and their faith as well. We've got a couple of taglines, one from the very beginning, and it's on our front sign that you can see off of Chestnut Street. It's Christ-centered ministry based on the Bible. That's been probably one of the main philosophies that we've held, since the very, very beginning. And that kind of goes along with our mission statement with another tagline, where everyone matters. Because we really do believe that everybody has value and worth and a significance to be in relationship with. And we try to work that out as best we can. So another thing that I'd like to share this morning is if you're a Murray State University student listening, which would be really interesting this early. But if you are, we've got a couple of times that we meet throughout the week, and we primarily minister to Murray State University students. Now, there was a time, and maybe one of you original students could talk a little bit, where Murray Christian Fellowship was more like a local congregation, but primarily we have been focused in on Murray State University students. And we meet at 7 o'clock on Sunday nights and on Wednesday nights for our times of worship and teaching. And then on Friday nights we have what we call our FNEs, our Friday night events, and those are just good old classic, clean college fun times. We do things like car tag. Well, we don't run into each other to say tag, you're it. It's more like car hide and seek around Murray. And that's one thing that we like to do with freshmen, so they get to know our community. So we'll go and camp out at Sirloin Stockade and take a little Instagram picture of maybe the cow's nose and post it out, and then you've got to find us based off of that one small picture. And so it's kind of fun. We have some enjoyable times, and we get to know the city of Murray. Some of the other things that we do on a weekly basis is hospitality is a huge thing for our ministry. I feel we have this wonderful house at 1508 Chestnut Street, and it's old.
Yes, it is.
It's very comfortable to sit in. We've got 12 couches for you to just come and find a spot. But we like to be hospitable, and so we've got a Chinese group that comes in from actually several other campuses, Western and down at Memphis, and they drive and come to Murray once a month, and we all meet in the back, and so they have a Bible study in Mandarin, which is really nice. And then several of the student organization clubs at Murray State will come over and use the house facilities. Like right now we have the Japanese Food Club comes on Tuesday nights, and so the house always smells so wonderful. Wednesday morning, yeah. It's nice to see, 20, 30 students kind of coming through and speaking different languages and having different cultural experiences and being able to share life together. So that's kind of like what we do on a weekly basis. Some of the things that I'd love for our other guests this morning to share is like how and when did this ministry start? So Lois Green is here to tell us a little bit about the origins of Murray Christian Fellowship.
All right. Well, thanks, Mike. I came here to Murray State as a freshman in 1966. My twin sister and I were from Madisonville. We came down here, lived in Woods Hall, and we had attended Grapevine Christian Church in Madisonville, and we looked around and there was no independent Christian church in Murray, so we kind of went to different churches and we went to different student organizations. Didn't really find any that exactly matched what we believed, and sort of let people know that we were looking for other Christian church students. And lo and behold, in 1968, when we were juniors, we got word that there was going to be a group forming. I don't know whether it was because we were letting it be known, but anyway, we found out there was a group and a guy from Mayfield that was going to help, and we found Hawk and Marie Taylor. Hawk was a professional baseball player, and Marie was from Brookport, and they were going to help, and we met Bill and Brenda Call, and you'll hear from Bill in a minute. But anyway, there were about 15 to 20 of us that had our very first meeting on November 10th, 1968. So that's 50 years ago, in November 10th. So we began to meet on Sunday mornings and then began to change that to Sunday nights, and it just evolved into what we are now, I guess. It was a long time ago.
Yeah. When was the campus house purchased? And so you went from meeting in, I think it was Bill and Brenda's apartment.
Yes,
We met.
we went to the World Hall, and then we bought the campus house on Chestnut Street in 1971.
71, so just a few years later. Yeah, yeah, wonderful.
It was a big purchase for a small group, mostly of students, but we had some help from churches, of course, and parents and such as that to get that down payment started, and we got started with the house. It was a real asset.
Yeah.
Before that, we met in what had been our apartment. Brenda and I married in August of '68, so when MCF started in November, we were known as the old married couple. Okay. But they started meeting then upstairs in our apartment, which was at the corner 14th and Olive, right next to campus. House on Chestnut Street.
And that heart, of being generous and hospitable really has happened 2 other times with MCF. And I wanted to highlight this. So we have the campus house at 1508 Chestnut, and next door there was she a chemistry professor, I believe?
Biology professor.
Biology professor,
Miss biology professor.
And then she made the house that she lived in available to MCF, and so we purchased that as well, and that has become residence for our female students. A neat thing to kind of transition into the legacy, not only did Bill and Brenda give up their apartment to MCF, but MCF has this house bought from Miss Whitna, and they gave it up for a really special ministry, I think, here in Murray, and I'll let Bill talk a little bit about some of those legacy things.
Okay, the Lifehouse ministry actually began next to Murray Christian Fellowship in Ms. Whitney's house. We made an arrangement with her as she began getting older that we would take over the maintenance of her house with the agreement then that she would let us purchase it at the appropriate time, and that time came. And we consulted with her. She was in a rest home at that point. And it first started more as an adoption type ministry, and then turned into what it is now. All that began, our campus minister at the time, Dean Ross, was very concerned about the Roe versus Wade decision and the resulting high number of abortions that were taking place. And we felt that this was wrong, that babies deserved a chance at life, but that it was not right on our part to condemn ladies who found themselves in a bad situation without providing them a positive alternative. And so we came up with a concept of an adoption or unwed mothers type of a place where someone in a crisis pregnancy situation could find a loving environment that would help them bring that baby to life. And then that eventually, over time, turned into what is known as the Lifehouse Ministry today, which is primarily a counseling type of ministry. And Murray Christian Fellowship began that ministry, but then gave it away. We gave it away to the community. Lifehouse is its own board now and has its own facility in a different part of town. But it began there at MCF with the conviction by the campus minister and by the students that this positive alternative to abortion was needed.
And that just kind of goes to show the reach that this MCF has had. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue talking with Mike Kerrick, Lois Green, and Bill Call here with Murray Christian Fellowship. You're listening to Heritage Bank's Mornings in Murray. We are joined right now by Mike Kerrick, Lois Green, and Bill Call with the Murray Christian Fellowship, and they're telling us a little bit about the legacy as they are approaching their 50th year anniversary, and it all got started in just a little apartment.
Yeah, that's really exciting. So Bill was mentioning about how we have this really wonderful heart of hospitality and helped start Lifehouse Crisis Pregnancy Center here. But there's a couple other things that is very unique for a campus ministry to do. And so why don't you go ahead and...
Well, it was interesting. You mentioned a while ago that we started as students, and certainly we did. But a number of us, including Brenda and I, after we graduated, we stayed in Murray and began our jobs and so forth, started raising our family. And Murray Christian Fellowship had become our church during our time as students. And we really didn't want to leave that, so we stayed at MCF. And of course, we could be a help to the student ministry as well. But then students began doing the same thing, and a few young professors and their families moved in and started meeting with us. And sometime in the late 70s, we looked around and there was about half adults and half students. The number of adults had grown to that point, and with those adults came children and the need for children's ministry programs. And so it began to be some stress on the campus ministry trying to do both aspects at once in a house that really wasn't all that large. So in the late 70s, we began looking at what ought to be done about this, and finally in 1980, the adults and their families began the Christian Community Church as a means to provide what adults and families needed more in the way of a church experience. And the campus ministry then was able to focus once again on being a campus ministry, being a ministry to students. And so the interesting thing about that is it's not unusual for a church to begin a campus ministry. That happens all the time.
Right.
It's very unusual for a campus ministry to form a church. But that's what happened in our case. And so Christian Community Church on South 16th Street is still in existence and is added on to the property there, in fact, and serves families in Murray. And we're quite proud that the MCF campus ministry gave birth to both the Lifehouse Ministry and Christian Community Church.
That's a crazy story.
It is, and it doesn't end there. There's been two other campus ministries from MCF alum beginning here in Kentucky. Morehead State has one, and Western Kentucky has a campus ministry of an MCF alum.
It's hard for folks who came from Bowling Green to Murray. There's quite a number here that are graduates of Western. It might be hard for them to understand that Murray actually gave birth to a ministry in Western, but that's what happened.
Yeah. University of Evansville has an MCF, or had an MCF grad in their campus ministry program, and we've had several missionaries both here in the States and internationally. So it's been really amazing to see just how many people who have gone through this ministry have gone out and impacted their communities, and then also, impacted the faith world as well, the church and stuff.
I just think that the origin story is probably the coolest thing. The fact that, you have a need, and to start it out, like you said, in an apartment.
Yes.
I mean, That's quite a long journey from there to where you are now.
Yeah.
It is. We found Sunday mornings meeting in a restaurant didn't work very well with college students. So only a few times of doing that, and then we switched to the Sunday evening program in our apartment, and that became a natural fit.
So y'all have an actual celebration you're going to have for this.
Right.
So tell us a little bit about the celebration that's coming up.
Okay, so this Saturday, weather permitting, we'll have an outside carnival kind of atmosphere. So if you're traveling down on Chestnut Street, give us a honk, feel free to stop by. We'll have several booths just with some wonderful outdoor games. We'll be providing some barbecue, and that starts at 11 o'clock. We'll have a small recognition program at 11:30, recognizing our founding students. And one neat thing this year, just to celebrate our 50th year in existence and then to look for 50 more, is we're beginning a scholarship for current students who are in need of some financial assistance for their Murray State degree program. So that'll be another thing that we recognize in the program there that morning.
So it begins at 11. How long are y'all going to go? I know there's obviously a football game going on that day.
So it's kind of come and go as you want throughout the day. Some of our alum will stick around the campus house and not go to the game, but a lot will. So it's kind of an open house. If it's raining, we'll probably condense the games down to just a few inside. Again, the campus house it's adequate and a good size, but man, to get 60, 70 people in there, it really packs the house out.
So I got to ask this question. Obviously, the Golden Reunion's coming up as well. Are y'all going to have anybody coming in that you know?
Oh, I hope so.
Yes, our son's going to be in. We're going to have a unit in the parade.
Oh, that's right.
I understand, and my son wants to drive the truck. So he was active at MCF as a student, too, as was our daughter. So we have quite a number of alumni planning to come in for the celebration.
Yeah, from all over too, which is really nice. So
yeah, it's going to be a great celebration. And are y'all planning to attend the game?
I probably won't. I'll be wrapping things up.
After visiting with the alum.
Yeah, I know several of our alumni, like Greg and Kristen Taylor. They have season tickets, so they'll be there. And there's usually a half a dozen or so friends of theirs that they take into their little box area. So yeah, it'll be exciting. We're really cheering on the racers. This has been a wonderful start.
It has been
for OVC tournament play. Oh man.
So tell me a little bit about a typical day. A typical service for Murray Christian Fellowship?
That's a great question. Our students really like to have an informal time, so it's a real simple structure. We meet around 6:45 and have some fellowship time, and at 7 o'clock we go into the back area of our campus house, where we sing a few songs. We read from the scriptures, and I do a 15-20 minute teaching time. There's some mixing going on as far as we'll have just pray for one another, or who has a birthday this month, and during Dairy Queen season it's always nice to go out for baby cones afterwards.
That's about to be over too.
I know. So it's a real simple but a simple service, but our primary focus is just to build relationships, and so we don't want to get in the way of that too much with events and programming, and we just really like to have that kind of organic feel where students come together and share life.
And how long have you been with MCF?
I've been here since 2008, and that was a really neat move and neat story that we could talk about some other time.
Mike mentioned the Fern Terrace Ministry. I think that's a cool thing that students do that's for this community.
Yeah, real quick, Hawk and Marie Taylor were part of the founding type, adult care for the students. And Marie was on faculty at Murray State in the music department as a piano player for years, and still helps out as adjunct and retired. Anyhow, since 1972, when Fern Terrace Assisted Living facility began, Murray State students through Murray Christian Fellowship have been going, usually on Thursdays at 3:30, for about 45 minutes to an hour, and we sing to the residents. Just some fun, classic folk songs and some good old hymns. And so we've been doing that since 1972.
That's over 40 years.
Yeah, and Marie has been primarily the one spearheading that, and we just kind of work together on that.
Y'all are going to need to get together a special 50th anniversary performance. That's coming up in 2022.
We have one tribute at our anniversary celebration this weekend that's going to happen. So Marie and I have been plotting and scheming for that. So it'll be a fun surprise. But
so that's something to come out and take a look at and take a listen.
So the legacy really is amazing. With Lifehouse, with Christian Community, with our outreach to Fern Terrace, Murray State students not only have developed their own community, their own fellowship, but they do become active in the community as they do their 4, 5, or 6 year tenure here as students.
And of course, we've had a number that have gone into the ministry from partly outgrowth of their experience at MCF, been chaplains or in military or for other organizations, and then have gone into service as elders or deacons in their home churches and so forth. So we're proud of that aspect of our graduates as well.
So again, we're talking with Mike Kerrick, Lois Green, and Bill Call at the Murray Christian Fellowship. They have their 50th anniversary, and they're going to celebrate.
The party starts at 1508 Chestnut. At 11:30 is going to be our small program, just recognizing the founding students and some other neat things that are happening. So as you're here for homecoming, stop on by the house, enjoy some hospitality, and we'd love to celebrate life with you.
All right, well, we want to thank everybody for joining us. Thank you for coming in, Mike.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you, Lois, and thank you, Bill. We appreciate y'all having the time to come in and sit down and have a chat. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll continue our Heritage Banks Mornings and Murray Show live from Kroger.